Good morning. It's time to relax, to stretch, to increase range of motion. So let's start our gentle yoga practice on the floor in wide knee child's pose. So you are kneeling, your arms extended over your head, forehead, down to the floor. And let's get started. Let me check the volume quick. So coming to this wide knee child's pose, take your hands out so that your palms are down on the floor. And then take your forehead to the floor. And just let your body relax, sink down. As you're in your wide knee child's pose, as always, we want to take attention to breath. But as you're in this posture this morning and you're breathing in, can you feel your lungs expand in your back? On your next breath, come up. Hands under your shoulders and knees under your hips. So in this practice today, we're going to really slow down. We're going to take 5 breaths for most of these postures. So let's start with cat and cow. So lift the chest with cow, take your breath in, and then exhale and round, pulling the belly up. Moving at your own pace, alternating between the postures when it's time to change your breath, your inhale or your exhale. One more time. Around the back. Come to center. And just sit back on your heels. Sit up nice and tall. If this is bothering your knees, you can put a towel underneath your knees. But just stay here for 5 breaths and notice how your posture is. Do you feel the need to lean forward because your hip flexors are tight? So try to sit up tall and try to let your body sink toward the ground so that you're stretching the front of your thighs. Keep your shoulders down, away from the ears. So sometimes when we feel tense, start to tighten up other areas of the body. So be really intentional of allowing all of your muscles to release. On your next breath, come up to your knees so that you're standing on your knees. Your knees are directly under your hips. Let's roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And do that again 4 more times. I very rarely do shoulder rolls the opposite direction because we already have a tendency of hunching forward. So we want to stretch the chest, strengthen the upper back, and get used to standing tall through the spine. 1 more. Just from here, bring your hands to your hips, and we're just going to do a little bit of a kind of hula hoop circle and then switch sides. Really, this is not a yoga pose. This is just to warm up in through the torso and hips so that as we are holding our poses, we're a little bit better positioned to do that. Circling around. With each circle, can you feel your lower back or your hip flexors stretching? Maybe you're realizing where you need to focus today on what is tight. And after your next circle, come back up tall to your knees. And drop your hands down. Now I'm going to mirror you, so look over your right shoulder and drop your chin down to the shoulder and press your left hand down toward the floor so that you can feel a long stretch going up your arm and into your neck. Relax your arm, lift your head, and look to the left. Drop your chin. Press that right hand down to the floor. Press so that your palm is level with the floor as if you're going to put your hand on the floor, and that will increase that stretch up the arm and into the neck. Relax the arm, lift the head, come forward, drop your chin. And you have the option of going down here on your heels if that is more comfortable for you. Let's just do looking forward, drop your ear, toward your shoulder. And then just do like a half circle to the other side. So instead of turning your head to look over your shoulder, you're still facing forward. But you're taking that ear toward the side. Just keep moving side to side, feeling the neck release. Just 1 more. And come to the center. And if you're high on your knees, come down to your seated on your heels and take your hands behind your back. Just open the chest. Clasp your hands. If you don't have the range of motion to clasp your hands, you can just reach your arms back. But what you're trying to do is stretch the chest and the front of the shoulders. And if you are clasping your hands, maybe it feels good to lift your arms up and down a little bit, just to, once again, kind of feel where there's some sticking points, where you're a little bit tight. And then just hold. Release your hands down. Now keep that right hand down toward the ground. Lift your left arm up to the ceiling and reach up. And then reach the floor with your right. Look up at your left hand, reach tall, and continue holding this. We're starting to stretch and lengthen that left side of the body. Breath is really key here. It's very important. So try not to hold the breath. And lower the arm, switch sides, reaching up. Reaching the opposite ends, floor to ceiling with your hands, looking up. Your neck is soft as your gaze goes toward your hand. And you're still using that flowing breath. And release, come down. Let's take a break from our knees. Hands come under the shoulders. Reach your right arm forward and take your left leg back so that you're strong and long. We're going to hold 5 breaths, right? So make sure that you are not too close to the wall. Make sure that you are bracing and engaging your abdominals so that you're not sinking down or twisting open in your posture. So you're aiming for your hips to be level with the floor. And you're just engaging the low abs, those below the belly button, and then release. And immediately switch sides, setting up the same way. And release. Let's take the right hand to the ceiling. Thread the needle coming down to your shoulder. Wrapping your left arm around your back. This is a nice one to be able to stay for 5 long breaths. Place that left hand to the floor. Lift up. And release. And immediately switch sides. Reach up. Thread the needle. Coming to shoulder. Wrapping your arm around your back. You're just letting your hips relax here. You're balanced because of your feet, your knee, your shoulder, and your head, and even your arm a little bit. Replace the right hand to the ground. Lift up the left. Take your gaze up as you reach and lower down. Bring your knees together, your feet are together, and come back in child's pose. This time, though, take your hands and wrap them down, possibly holding the bottoms of your feet. Bring your hands forward and lift up, and let's return to standing on the knees. Try to intensify the stretch on your sides. Pushing down with your right hand, lifting up the left arm, looking up, and then this time stretch across. Look up at the palm. So your chest and shoulders are still level with the front of the room. Pushing that hip to the side. And then come up. Other side, reach up. And then on the exhale, reach to the side. Look up toward your hand. And if that's uncomfortable on your neck, you can just look forward. And if you feel like you're having difficulty with this bend, you can take your hand to your hip. Breath in. Take your hands behind your back. Lift, open the chest. Sweep the arms overhead. Bring the hands together. Reach up in the center. And then tilt to the side and hold. Stay here for 5 big breaths. Looking forward this time. And come up. Switch. And come up. Sit back down on your heels. Sitting tall. Starting to get a little warm. And your option, if you are very flexible through your quads, which I am not, you can open your feet and sit down on the ground. Now only do this if you don't have serious knee pain and you have that flexibility. Otherwise, you can stay up tall and sit on the heels. And then release and come up to your knees again. Moving into some hip flexor stretches. Take your right leg forward and sink down. So you have a 90-degree angle here at this knee. You want to make sure that your knee is not riding over like so. So you want to have the support of your shin. It's the area that we're trying to stretch is the front of your left hip and down into the thighs. So sink down. Let your arms be heavy. One more breath. Take your hands to the floor. Shift your weight back. Bring up your toes. And then begin to sink toward your leg. So what's more important here is that you're getting length through your spine and you're trying to take chest to thigh as opposed to tucking your head and trying to touch your knee. So we want to go long here. So you're lengthening your back and you're stretching your hamstrings. Now release, bend your knee again. Reach that left arm up. And then twist. Take the hand on the outside part of the leg. So both arms are open, strong arms. Look back behind you. Lower your back arm. Take your front hand down toward the floor. So this might be difficult. This might be a challenge. If you have a water bottle, you can place your hand on that water bottle. I forgot to bring mine down here today. And then reach your other arm up toward the ceiling. See if you can get a deeper twist through your low back, deeper stretch. You're still active through your abdominals. And then lower your hand. Come back to center. And let's return to that hamstring stretch one more time. And maybe this time you can go a little bit deeper. Just be cautious when you're trying to increase your stretches that you're just going to that point of mild discomfort and that you're not pushing to a painful position. And then release, come up, and bring your knee back. Let's just sit back for one moment to release whatever pressure you have on your knees. We're doing a lot of knee-focused poses today, so anytime you need a rest to come off of your knees, go ahead. Let's come back up. And take that left leg forward. I'm going to turn so you have a different view. So your left leg comes forward. Once again, we're sinking down. You have that 90-degree angle. So initially, you're just feeling heavy and sinking toward the ground, feeling the stretch in the front of the hip, maybe the thighs, depending again on your flexibility. It's pretty cool with yoga that it affects every body in a different way. And it might affect your body differently just based on the time of day, what you did the day before. This might sound silly, but I know that based on what I eat, how my body feels different, how hydrated I am, how much sleep. So just become more aware of how you are feeling, and it'll help you choose a path to feel well more frequently. Shift back. And then go into your hamstring stretch. Be gentle. It's the first one on this side. Going for length. Come forward. Bring the foot back to the floor. And then lift up your right arm and twist. Taking that right arm on the outside part of your leg. Your left arm's reaching back. You're pushing your leg against your arm, and your arm is pushing back. So you have some resistance there. And you're looking back toward that left hand. Release the back arm, and then take that forward arm toward the ground and reach up. I mentioned a water bottle. I don't have a water bottle, but you could always use a yoga block. You can pick these up relatively inexpensively just at Walmart or Five Below. And it'll help you bring the floor up and feel a little more successful in your poses. And release. And shift back. So I encourage you, you don't have to get a yoga block, but it is a really nice tool to have. And come up. Okay. We're going to move down to the floor. So come forward. Hands are under your shoulders, and you can have your knees down on the ground as you come down slowly to the floor. And then adjust your hands so that you can lift in a cobra position, a baby cobra, but you're not pushing your hands down. You're just lifting through the chest. You're pulling belly from the floor. Holding here for 5. Make sure you're doing complete breaths. Release. Bring your toes together, take your arms back. Lift up legs, chest, and arms. Nice long back. Opening the chest, feeling power in the back of your body. So you can feel your hamstrings, your glutes, your low back, and your upper back are all working. And release. Bring your hands forward and let's move to our Sphinx pose. Just a reminder for Sphinx, the best way to set up is to have your elbows on the floor, touch your opposite shoulder, and then bring your hands down forearms are down. Feel your chest expand as you breathe. Feel the tension of your lower back release a little bit as your body is getting used to this hyperextended pose. And then come down. Bending knees, reaching for your feet. Bring the toes together and lift. Holding for 5. And release. Bringing the hands forward. Coming to a full cobra. Legs on the floor. Shoulders down. Looking straight ahead. Can you feel those hip flexors? That area that we stretched while we were in that 90-degree front knee angle. You feel the stretch up through your abdominals. And come down. Shift back to child's pose. We have one more hyperextended back posture to do. Let's take a counter stretch. Round the back, forehead down. Come forward and move into upward facing dog. Your hands are under your shoulders, so it's similar to our cobra, except the thighs are engaged and they're off of the ground. So cobra is an option for you. Tuck your toes and move to down dog, holding here. Dropping heels. Nice long back, long legs. Head is relaxed. Actually, it's your neck that's relaxed, your head's kind of heavy. Let's just take some small steps forward until your feet are under your hips, and then you can hang in ragdoll. Toes are light, so wiggle your toes to make sure you're not crunching and squeezing them to the floor. Let's make a box where your hand comes to opposite elbow and sway side to side. And pause. Drop your fingers and emphasize the spine as you roll up. Roll the shoulders back. So open the legs so that your feet are parallel to the edges of the mat, and just bring your hands to your hips. Wide leg forward fold, coming forward. And then drop your hands down. Feeling that stretch of the back of the legs and down the spine to your neck. Half a lift, lengthen through the neck. So you can feel your belly engage. And then take your left hand toward your right foot or your shin, it's up to you. Or if you have that water bottle or a block, you can put your hand on the block, okay? So you have options. Take your other arm to the ceiling, look up, lengthen through that back, feel your core strength, your legs stretching the hamstrings and the inner thighs. And release. Go to the other side. Using breath. Come to the center. See if you can take the crown of the head closer to the ground without opening your feet, without making your straddle wider. Just going because your hamstrings are beginning to release further and your back is more relaxed. Half lift. Balance here and just walk your feet in until they're just outside your hips and turn your toes out. Bring your hands down for support and move into a deep squat. Hands come to the middle of your chest. Goal is to have both feet flat on the floor. Place your hands down, lift your hips. And come back down. And your option is to keep your hands in the center, pushing your arms, or opening the arms for a bigger stretch. Keep lifting up chest. So you want to feel tall here. Allow the hips to release. And then bring your hands down to the floor. Lift your hips, stretch and lengthen. And then walk your feet together. Bend your knees and have a seat. Extending the legs out. Let's continue stretching the back of the body just a little bit longer. Reach your arms forward. Reach for your toes. Pull your toes back toward your shin. And if you don't have that flexibility, your hands can just come to your shins. Take a breath, long, strong back, and then fold forward. So you're aiming to take the chest down toward the thighs. You can feel the breath expand your back. And release and come up. Release. Bend your knees. Bring the soles of the feet together. For bound angle. Some people call this butterfly. Open the feet like a book. Push your knees down, your side shins down toward the floor. And try keeping that back long. So avoid hunching forward. And if this is where you are, then focus on lengthening and don't focus so much on dropping the legs. Try to get the posture through your spine first. And then aim to take your chest toward your feet. Come up. Bend the knees. Take just the left leg forward. Bend the right leg and take your foot to the outside part of your leg. So you might feel a big stretch on your thigh. I feel a big stretch on the top of my foot. And then your left leg is strong, straight, and notice I'm pulling my toes in, so this leg is active. You might feel a little bit offset. You might be leaning to the side, and that's okay. Aim to come to the center where you're still tall. And then if you feel comfortable there, you can begin to fold forward. Coming down over that front leg, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed. If you're reaching for your foot, don't let the shoulders rise. One more breath. And then rise up. Let's take this same leg, bend it the opposite direction. Bring the foot up into the hip crease of your other leg. This might be uncomfortable as well because the foot is putting pressure on the quadricep of your left leg. So try to get that foot up as high as you can. Feel a bit of an opening here in the front of the hip on that right leg. And you have other options here. You can just stay here or begin to fold forward. Still aiming to keep the body level. Release, rise, and release that leg. Other side. Bend your knee. I don't know about you, but I'm hearing lots of snap, crackles, and pops in my bones and joints today. And that's just because we're holding these poses a little bit longer and our body has the ability to realign. All right, go to the full expression of your posture on this side. Might not be the same as on the other side. Using breath. Are you noticing that when you get to breath 3 and 4 and 5, you're starting to sink a little deeper? Your body is relaxing more. Release, come up, take your time. Flip your foot around to the other side, bringing your foot up as high as you can into your hip crease. So what I mean by that hip crease is where your top of your leg meets your torso. So in that hip joint. Maybe add a little bit of gentle pressure, relaxing shoulders, but you're being strong through your spine still, just not allowing the shoulders to rise. And then move into your fold if that's what you did on the other side, or that's what you choose to do on this side. Trying to stay as level as you can. And release, come back up. Let's return to the bound angle posture. And round the back, bring the crown of the head down. Roll up. Good. Bend your knees. I'll turn to the side. So bring the feet in so they're kind of close to your bottom and in line with your hips. And then have your hands behind you. Come up into a reverse tabletop. You're lifting up. Your goal is that your feet are under your knees. Your hands are under your shoulders. Look to the ceiling. And then roll down. Let's roll down to the floor. Bring your feet in close to your bottom for bridge pose. Lifting up through the hips. Your hands together underneath you. Try opening chest, putting the pressure on your shoulders, pushing your feet to the floor. Try not to compress your neck, so you're balancing on the back of the head, shoulders, and the feet. And come down. Cross your right leg over your left leg as if you're sitting in a chair. This is a reclined pigeon pose. Lift up your other leg. What you're trying to do is stretch this hip. You can hold by placing that right arm in the hole between, in the center of the legs. And if that is fairly easy for you, you can cradle your leg by taking the crook of your arm, your left arm, place your foot in it, and then your right arm wraps around the knee, and then you can hold your leg as if you're holding a baby toward your chest. Your next option is to straighten your other leg. Try to keep your neck neutral, your face calm. And release. And switch sides. Take your time as you set up. Use your breath. slowly. Release your posture. Bend both knees. Reach for the outside part of your feet. Happy baby. Roll. This is our last posture before Shavasana. Enjoy this movement. And come to stillness. Maybe bring the knees to the chest first, or just go right into Shavasana. It's up to you. Extending arms, extending legs. And just in your Shavasana, stay focused on breath today. As you're in Shavasana, your breath flowing and your body still. Take another full breath and come up to a seated position. You're welcome to stay in Shavasana if you choose, or you can come up to seated to close out practice with me. Thank you for joining me in gentle yoga practice today. I wish you well. Until I see you again, namaste. See you soon.